Alright guys, I want to share with you an experience that I had at Christmas time. Every year it seems like there's always something to assemble. These companies will pack something in every individual piece, and when you put it together it's like 3 and 4 times bigger than the box. I mean, there's no way you could ever try to get all that back in the box once you get it out. It's just unreal. If you ever try to take something back, it just won't fit back in the box. It's unreal. But I put together something that was the biggest thing I've ever put together, and basically I decided this year, with approval of their mother and all that, to get a trampoline, you know, and that was a task. It was something I'd never done before, but it was manageable. It took a few hours, but first thing I did, it's cold out, so I went inside the shop, and you know, I thought, well, I can work on it ahead of time. So I got the instructions out, and I'm looking at the instructions and going through it and making sure I've got everything that I need. I'm thinking I can put this together as much as I can on the inside where it's not as cold, and go from there. Well, it's so big that it wouldn't even fit out the door, so I had to take it, what I did put together, back apart, or parts of it apart, to get it back out. But I managed in that first step to get all the legs put together, which was like 3 or 4 pieces of metal framing that were all kind of like pushed together and pulled together. And then I kind of got it together and even had the side rails up on the side, which was like the step 5 was put those side rails together, screw 2 pieces of metal together, and that has the foam around it, and that holds it together. And I managed to put those together, but you know, it's still, all that had to be taken apart. So on a specific day I decided to put it up. Well, my oldest daughter, she was out of school that whole week, so it wasn't like I was going to hide from her that I was doing this. So I just said, hey, come help me. So she walked out to the back of the shop back there and helped me take all the pieces out one by one from the back all the way up, and she helped me put all of the frame pieces back together around the circle. And she was just like, wow, this is so big. And so we did that and got to move on to step 2, which was actually to place the actual base that you're going to jump on, the trampoline part you're going to jump on, down the ground, and secure it with 4 springs, one on, you know, north, south, east, and west, basically. And you had to have them exactly right. Well, I actually messed up and had one spring on the loop beside where it was supposed to be, so it wasn't quite right. I had to fix that. But that's supposed to help get your trampoline center. And then what you're supposed to do is put a spring around each edge, north, south, east, west, north, south, and keep going around and around and around, one more spring at a time. That way it stays center, that way it stays where it needs to. And I got tired of going around in circles, so I started putting 2 springs at a time, 3 springs at a time. And so basically what happened was I got things completely out of center, completely where doing this exact thing, doing this 2 and 3 and 4, was getting one side really easy to put the springs on, getting them tightly, you know, where there wasn't much of a pull. And then on the opposite side there was like a 1.5 foot gap, so I could not do the job. I was like, I didn't have enough strength. And so I had to go back around and undo one whole side on the other side and relieve some of that tension and allow the whole thing to be recentered more evenly. And then I was able to complete the task after that. Now, once I got all of that in place, the next step was to put the ring on that covers the springs. And so we get out the instructions and we look at it and how it is, and it's got certain spots that you put it on that those rods will go up through those little openings so that you can have a surrounding a net that would hold you from falling off. So I went ahead and put, even though that was like 2 steps later to put that rod together, which I had already done previously, two different pieces of metal with foam that was screwed together with a self-tapping screw. I went ahead and put one of those in. I began to go on either side, and I had my daughter at that point kind of go underneath and start to tie the ties to the springs into the frame. And we kind of worked together, and that was tedious. But once I got that, I was able to then to put all the posts up, all those vertical posts that's going to hold that net in place. And then it got tricky, because when you looked at this net, when you looked at how to install it, it was basically kind of like when you tighten the lug nuts on a car, you're not supposed to go in a circle, you're supposed to kind of go in a star pattern. And I was trying to read it, and I don't know what, maybe it was the fact that I worked all night long and that I was tired, and this was like, early in the morning. And so we had taken a break, and it had been a few minutes had passed. We got back out there to do some more work, but I asked her to look at the diagram and begin to explain to me. I was like, okay, if this pole is 1, and I know that one is 3 because I skipped the 2, that was a problem. But then all of a sudden it was like, I don't know what it was, because when I think about it, I know how to count around the poles, but I just was struggling to do that. And she helped me out, and she was like, okay, Dad, that's 3, that would be 5, then jump back over to 2, then jump back over to 4, then go over to the last one, which was 6. And so that was the pattern: 1, 3, 5, 2, 4, 6. And I don't know why I can see it now. I guess it's because I was really tired that day and it was cold. And so she just kind of helped me, direct me in that path. So once I got all those edges up on the top and it was basically dangling down, the next thing that had to be done was the bottom side of the net that was just free floating had to be secured to the trampoline itself. And so there was some shoestrings that were provided that you basically take the first one and tie it down around the loop and around the spring, and you weave it in and out of the net and the trampoline, and there's just maybe an inch or 2 gap there that maybe your finger can go through, but your whole foot or leg cannot. And so my daughter helped me out as well. We knocked that out, and so that way it was secure all the way around and tied it together. So once I got that, my oldest, of course, she was there, the other kids were in school, and she went ahead and tried it out, and they got to enjoy it. Well, finally that evening, the kids, the other 3, got home not knowing, I mean, literally they could see it in the backyard if they were looking, but a lot of times they're not paying attention what's going on. So they are all excited. They get there, they're hugging me, they're coming in, and I'm like, you need to go see your present, your Christmas present. I told y'all I was getting y'all all one big present. And they're like, okay. And they go through the house, and like once they get close to the back door, immediately they're just like screaming, a trampoline. And like my youngest, he was wearing pajamas that day to school. It was like pajama day because it was the Christmas holidays, and they do pajama days and stuff. Anyway, he's out there looking like he just got out of bed, but he went to school, and he's in his pajamas. And they're running out there quickly trying to get up there. There's not even a step ladder or anything to get up there, so I'm having to get the thing open and get them up there, help them up, and get them excited. You know, they were so excited, get them ready, and I mean, they were jumping fast, and you just couldn't keep them all out of there at the same time. They all had to jump at the same time, even though it is recommended that one person jump at a time. And so they just couldn't help it. They all had to jump at the same time. So there you have it, guys. Another project done. It was an experience. I enjoyed it. There were some tedious moments, but it's not that bad to do as long as you follow instructions and do what it asks you to do, and definitely have help. You know, in certain parts it helps too, especially with the springs. Having somebody go ahead and put them in the loops while you're working on something else. Messing with that many springs can be tedious, so it helps to have someone there to help you. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Check out some of the other videos that we've also got as well. I'll leave you some links to those on the screen and in the description and stuff. So until next time, guys, God bless.